What is up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster, and it sure seems like Ubisoft is preparing to say the 3 worst words that you can possibly say as a business.
I hate you!
Oops, that's not what I meant to plug in there. Those are the 2nd worst words that you can say as a business, and actually, Ubisoft has already been saying that to their customers repeatedly, what with having a character that looks like this being added into their Assassin's Creed game set in ancient Japan. All we wanted was to play as a Japanese ninja dude, but nope, we get this, which is them, Ubisoft, giving the middle finger to gamers, essentially telling us that they hate us, which is why they now have to get ready to utter the actual 3 worst words for a business to have to say.
I declare bankruptcy!
It looks as though Ubisoft is now taking steps to prepare the company to be sold off piecemeal because, like we talked about yesterday, the buyout of Ubisoft by Tencent looks to have completely stopped. Instead, they've hired outside consultants to get the best value for their stakeholders. This most likely means they are preparing to sell off assets, most likely IPs like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Prince of Persia, or Rainbow Six, and as someone who believes that Ubisoft is not a proper custodian of these beloved franchises, my response to this news is basically,
give me a hell yeah!
But in response to all the news surrounding the company, the stock price for Ubisoft dropped like a rock. It's recovered a bit, but it opened this morning at the lowest point that it's been since October. The Ubisoft defenders out there have tried desperately to paint a rosy picture of Assassin's Creed Shadows and this company at large, but it looks as though embracing controversy, like adding Yasuki to Assassin's Creed Shadows in the first place, and treating gamers like shit, that has had some pretty bad consequences. Gamers, it seems, are not the sort of people that you say shit like this to. We're stubborn a-holes with long memories.
Ever notice how you come across somebody once in a while that you shouldn't have with? That's me.
But alright, let's discuss Ubisoft. I don't mean to pat myself on the back here too much, but this situation that they're in, this impending bankruptcy, I have been calling this since around April of last year, once they released Star Wars Outlaws information, followed by their reveal of Assassin's Creed Shadows, showing us how Star Wars Outlaws was going to feature the homely Kay Vess as the main character, and they showed us that Yasuki was going to be the main character of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The thing is, as I've talked about ad nauseum on this channel, 2024 was supposed to be Ubisoft's big year with all of these games. Ubisoft has operated at a loss basically this entire decade, and it was all supposed to culminate in 2024 with 4 major releases springboarding them into a year of massive profits. Skull and Bones, X-Defiant, Star Wars Outlaws, and Assassin's Creed Shadows. Those games were supposed to turn around the fortunes of Ubisoft, but the first 3 were extremely bad flops, and the last one, Assassin's Creed Shadows, didn't even end up being released in 2024 because they're afraid to release it. They're trying desperately to turn around customer sentiment before they do. But anyhow, prior to 2024, the 2020s for Ubisoft saw the company running at a deficit of about 437 million euros. That was supposed to be wiped out by the big year they thought they were going to have, but last year, while they did profit about 157 million euros, that means they are still operating at a loss for the decade of about 280 million euros. Needless to say, that isn't particularly acceptable, which is why we see this here. They are preparing for potential bankruptcy. This article comes to us from That Park Place. It says, the end might be near for Ubisoft. The year has barely started, and it seems as though the former giant of the gaming industry is showing more signs of decline as it seemingly prepares for bankruptcy ahead of the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. In our previous article, we highlighted Ubisoft's abysmal credit rating rooted in troubling financial metrics such as a 1.4 billion euros in net debt, plummeting market cap down over 85% in the past 4 years, and an unsustainable workforce of over 18,000 employees costing an estimated 746.6 million euros annually. These indicators painted a bleak picture of a company teetering on the edge of financial ruin. Now, on January 9th, 2025, Ubisoft announced that it has appointed leading advisors to review and pursue various transformational, strategic, and capitalistic options to, quote, extract the best value for stakeholders. Now, what does that mean? On paper, it suggests Ubisoft has hired consultants to address the company's strategic missteps from recent years. However, in practice, this move aligns more closely with preparations to sell off valuable assets, such as intellectual properties like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six, streaming rights, or other goods, and possibly edge closer to bankruptcy. Now, to be clear, I have a hard time believing they'll actually sell off Assassin's Creed, at least not right away. Maybe they'll start with something like Prince of Persia, but if they sell Assassin's Creed, then the company is well and truly toast, and they're just making whatever money they can on the way out. Assassin's Creed is obviously their biggest property, and without it, I just can't see them being economically viable at all. Oh, and speaking of Assassin's Creed, by the way, did you hear this? Obviously, we all know by now that they bumped Assassin's Creed Shadows back for another month, pushing it into March because they know that all the competition from the other major AAA releases in February would prevent them from hitting the big numbers they require to stay afloat. But they pushed the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows back to March 20th, which is a date that will not help them with the Japanese gamers at all. I mean, this is a game that was already being criticized for angering a shitload of people in Japan by disrespecting their culture in a variety of ways, including bad architectural design in the game, among all kinds of other reasons. But it looks like Ubisoft done screwed up again, because March 20th marks the 30th anniversary of one of the worst terror attacks in the history of Japan. Needless to say, this is optically very poor, and just one more example of Ubisoft clearly making decisions with their Japanese-centric game without thinking about how it appears to Japanese people. It wouldn't shock me if they end up changing the date once again. At this point, what's the harm, right? They've changed it so much that some people are already frustrated. But my guess is that everything is still hinging around this one release, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Ubisoft needs a massive infusion of cash really quickly, and if they don't get it, then they'll start selling off IPs to make up for their shortfalls. They won't start with Assassin's Creed. That would mean the end of the company. If it was me, I'd probably try to sell Rainbow Six or Prince of Persia. They haven't made a new Rainbow Six in ages anyhow. But with the stock prices plummeting and the cash on hand dwindling, they have to do something in the likely case that the Assassin's Creed Shadows release is just lukewarm. They won't hit Assassin's Creed Valhalla numbers, selling 4 million in the first week or so of release. It'll likely be around half that, which will be around 100 million in their pockets. but it's doubtful that will be enough. In any event, I'm going to leave it there. Drop your mockery of Ubisoft and their failing company into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.